Hi, Mike here. You're watching Scout Restoration Yukon. In this video, I will tear down another steering column before assembling the original steering column for my 1966 Scout 800. This is not a how-to video. It's a how I do video. I will show all the details. I hope you like it. Let's get to work. If you want to help, please subscribe to Scout Restoration Yukon. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out. This video will be about steering column. I have another steering column over at my other bench out of my parts Scout. So let's just take that apart and have a look and see how things go before we start working on this one. Okay, so let's get to work. So I'm just pulling off this steering wheel. There, that worked. My regular steering wheel puller didn't really want to do that. This is actually part of my slide hammer, but it worked very well for what we did there. And then I just have these two pieces of 3/8 flat bar in there for spacers, and now the wheel just comes off like that. That steering wheel is damaged. So that's the horn, that's the hazard switch. We're not really interested in any of that right now. This is a spacer, probably sits on top of the column, so it goes between the steering wheel and the column. And if you note, there's a dowel. The dowel cancels the signal lights. So we'll just leave all of that like that. I'll take the spacer off, and now the whole tube is coming off the shaft like so. So now here we have the shaft. Yeah, so here we have the cone, the spring, the dust shield, the washer, and the rubber boot. So the first thing I noticed was this dowel on the bottom of the steering wheel. Here's my original steering wheel. You can see the hole here, but there's no dowel. So I'm trying to wiggle this one out of here with a pair of vice grips. And it is moving. Just try prying up a little bit. And there, that came out. So that's just a press fit. You can see that little pin there. So I'm going to go ahead and install it in my original steering wheel, because it's the steering wheel that's in better shape. I'll gently tap it. There. So we have our dowel. I always spend some time cleaning up these shafts. Makes a big difference. So that's pretty good. I'll just do a little bit at the other end. The tube for the steering column has a bearing in each end. So I've checked these bearings by feel, and they feel pretty good. I kept spraying WD-40 in here and blowing it out with compressed air until it's nice and clean. So now I'm going to get some grease in there. This is synthetic grease. I'm using my needle greaser, which looks like this. So I have pumped some grease in there, working the grease up into the bearing from the back side of it. This is the top bearing. I cleaned that out best I could also. Squirt some grease in there. Here's my needle greaser. So now, same thing as the bottom. So that's the first thing done. These bearings in the tube have been lubricated. Attention, fellow Scout enthusiasts. Thanks for watching. I hope that you're getting useful insights from my videos. If I can earn 1,000 subscribers, I will be able to create Scout videos for a long time. Please like and subscribe so that we can continue this journey for years to come. I will show all the details. Over and out. So the next thing I'd like to do is check continuity. I believe this yellow wire is for the horn. So there's the horn. It's got continuity. That's this yellow wire. Now, we have a bunch of wires here. We have a red one here and here. We have continuity with the red one. Both red ones in the same place. Now there's a red one in the plug here. Also, continuity. So it appears like all these red wires. The black wire has continuity with the black wire. Of course, this is a bloody switch, isn't it? If we pull the switch out, white wire has continuity with the white wire. The blue wire has continuity with the blue wire. So everything works as far as continuity goes. So I have a couple of little repairs to do here. This yellow wire here needs a new electrical connector crimped on. So this one's an example of a male Packard 56 connector. That goes in there like that. I just put my screwdriver in there to release that. Let's put a new one on the end here. That goes there. Let's crimp this one side at a time. There's a special Packard 56 crimping tool. But I don't have it. I'm getting by with this stuff, so never mind, as long as it works, right? Just doing the crimps one side at a time seems to work. So there it is, crimped together very well. It just has to go into our new receptacle. So there, that's locked in place. The other ones look pretty good. So I'm just going to tape up this little piece of bare wire here. Now I will finish taping up the rest of this harness. Now I'm ready to assemble the steering column. I just noticed this rubber is starting to rip. So I have to replace this rubber with a good one. So I'm going to remove everything off the shaft, the cone or seat, the spring, the dust cap, and the rubber. They've all got to come off the end. This is a good rubber boot. If I stretch it, you can see there's no rips or tears. So the first thing I'm going to do is slide on my new rubber. The rubber goes right up on the shoulder here, like that. Next is the dust shield, and this flat washer, and the spring, and the seat, or bearing cone as I call it. So these steering columns don't use a rag link to couple the steering shaft to the steering box. They use a bell type coupler, which goes on this cross with these two pieces here, which they call buttons. They just go on here like this. They're going to need lubricated. And this washer here goes on here like so. So that'll go in here like this, facing the rubber, like that. All right, we can push all that back a little bit. So this is a clip that holds the buttons. Now, I've seen this clip on some steering columns, but not all of them. They don't all utilize this clip. And then the buttons go on each side of this clip, like so. And then the bell slides over top of that, like so. So I just have to, first of all, lubricate everything. So I'm going to fill this bell up with grease. Put a little grease here and here. Put this clip on. If you don't have the clip, you can just put the buttons on without the clip and it will be just fine. So I've put plenty of synthetic grease into the bell. These two buttons are installed, lubricated, everything's fine. These have to go into their respective slots. There, they're going in, right? Everything looks pretty good. Get this clip on there to hold this in place. Just turn that. Push it in. Just have to make sure the clip is over the shoulder and it's holding everything. That looks really good. The dust cover, the rubber end here. And of course, when we finally install this, we'll remove this bell, install it on the steering box and the Scout. The spline part here goes over the spline on the input on the steering box. And then this clamp goes on there, and that clamp will get bolted, tightened up like that. So that's that for that part. With a little grease on the bearing cone, I just have to gently slide the shaft into the tube. I have plenty of lubrication on the bearing cone. Just have to hold it up so it can clear the bearing. Now that goes right into place like that. Now I need to put the steering wheel on the other end and tighten it up to pull this into place. So now I have the steering column standing up on its end with the bell on the floor. I have to get this switch, four-way flasher switch, into position. So I think the two red wires go on this side, and the two white and the one black wire go on this side. Then the switch has got a little locator dowel on the bottom. Goes like that. So it just has these two little slot-headed screws. Hold that in position. There. We're on the locator dowel. Everything's flush and seated properly. Just tighten that screw up a little bit. And there's two Phillips screws here. One here and one here. Not sure if they're lined up. There they go. What the heck is going on here? It looks like there's a blue wire that's kind of pinched under there. The blue wire has to go on the other side of everything. Now, maybe these screws can start. Still got a wire pinched here. This is not good. Okay, I'll try again starting these two screws. I tried to realign things with my awl. Okay, those screws are going in nicely now. Need a better screwdriver. Make sure everything's tightening up properly. It's not exactly my dream screwdriver for this job. Try another one. Okay, everything's seated. So I've clamped a board with a hole in it onto my bench just so I can work on the steering column vertically. So here we are. So I'm just going to temporarily try this signal light switch. It moves freely with no binds. So everything's working okay. I'm going to take this signal light lever off again because I worry about it getting damaged. Now, just have to drop the cone in. We'll put some grease on it. So just lightly coat that with grease. Drop it on there. And then there's the spacer, which looks like this. It's just a tube. Drop that on there, and that on there. Putting the steering wheel on because I want to tighten everything up. So for the time being, all I have to worry about is getting this dowel in between here and here, because that's what cancels the signals out. This has nothing to do with the orientation of the steering wheel. I'll take care of that later when it's installed in the Scout. I need the steering wheel on there to keep it together. I'm removing this horn ring so that I have room to get a socket on the nut and start the nut. Now, I'm tightening that against the springs in those cones. So now I want to pull it back out of here, put it on the bench, so that I can watch. There. That's good. I'm going to go back to tightening here. Well, we're getting closer. Just check to make sure it turns freely. Let's tighten it up some more. Some more. Still turns freely. Well, the steering wheel torque is 35 to 45 foot-pounds. So I'm just going to try to tighten it to 40 foot-pounds. Because I didn't want to over-tighten and damage something. So now it's coming in. Now I have to check down here. It looks like my dust cap is coming in. Tightening to 40 foot-pounds in increments. And make sure it's free. And check the dust seal. Just keep going until I get my 40 foot-pounds. There, 40 foot-pounds. Actually, that dust seal doesn't go into the tube. It turns with the shaft independently from the tube. So it didn't need any silicone. So everything looks really good. In conclusion, once again, I'm happy to have a good steering column for the Concours restoration of my 1966 Scout 800. In my next video, I installed the dashboard into the Scout. I hope you like it. If you want to help, please subscribe to Yukon Scout Restoration. It's free. Mike Morrow, over and out.